Good evening, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Monday, June 9th, 2025. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening, and as you can see, I'm out here in the van/recording studio, and I got some little updates for you. This is going to be a Bigfoot Stuff video, and I know some of you like the updates on that. And got a couple things that happened over the weekend to tell you about, and then today's just been kind of a crazy day, and I've been on the phone and emails and texts pretty much all day long, and I'll try to bring you the highlights of that as well. So what I want to start off with is something that happened Saturday. Well, I got a text message, or was it an email, it was one or the other, from a fellow in South Carolina. And he told me I could use his name. His name is Craig. I had to look at my notes again. I got my notes down here, so hopefully I'll try to keep myself straight. But anyway, he told me, he asked me earlier about the number of Sasquatch folks, the maximum number of Sasquatch folks that I've ever been around, and at one time. And that's a little difficult question to answer, because we had one particular event that we could see probably, we estimated there's 4 of us there, and we estimated it was probably 40 of them there. And that was a real solemn event. But we've had a couple other events where there could have been quite a few more, but we couldn't really tell because we couldn't really see them. But he went on to tell me about, he lives in South Carolina, but he was up on some national forest land up in North Carolina, and he was playing music. And he said all of a sudden he kind of looked up on the hillside, and he said some of them were in orb form, and some of them, I guess, were cloaked. He could see them. And he said it was like the whole hillside. He said it reminded him of a stadium venue of some kind. And they apparently liked the music that he was playing. And as a part of that, he said he felt this overwhelming feeling of love that was coming from him. And he estimated there's probably 50 of them there. And that was pretty, that's pretty amazing. That's a pretty unusual thing that happened. But anyway, he was back home at his house, and so after he was telling me about all this, and the way he described it and stuff, it was no doubt in my mind that they had tagged him, and they knew who he was and where he was, and they followed him around. And he was telling me he hadn't had any contact at his house, and but that he kind of felt that they were around, but he hadn't had any contact. So what did I do? I said, well, yeah, let's try something. Does your backyard face the mountains? And he says, no, or the wood line. And he says, no. He said, the backyard faces some other houses, but my side yard faces the wood line. And I said, well, let's go out in the side yard. And so I did with him what I've done with a number of other people, and walked him right through the process, and immediately got that there were 5 of them there. And we got a name, Jacqueline, and Jacqueline was a 47-year-old female. And we did this in like 2 minutes. And like everybody else, he was, number one, he questions whether he actually heard what he heard. But when we got the name, it was real interesting, because a lot of times you get the first letter of the name or the first part of the name, and they have to tell you 2 or 3 times before you actually get it. Well, that's what happened there. He knew it began with a J, but he wasn't quite sure what they were saying. He knew it wasn't Jack. It was more than Jack. But anyway, and then he and I, and we're what, 1,600 miles apart, he and I both got Jacqueline at the same instant. And I think that's pretty significant, and that's pretty cool. So within just a short period of time, we got him mind speak, and we got him a name, and he knows they're there, and they immediately responded to him. So like everybody else, he's blown away, and that's pretty darn cool. We'll be hearing more from Craig. He told me I could use his first name. So that was Saturday, and that was pretty interesting. Well, Sunday I had a call from a lady from up in northeast Oklahoma, and she's had quite a bit of stuff over the years, and I didn't make notes when I talked to her. I probably should have, so I don't remember everything she told me. But she used to live down in southern Oklahoma, and she had activity down there as well. And most of you follow this along know that southeast Oklahoma is known for having a lot of activity. That's where the mountains, the hills and stuff like that are, or like the people in Oklahoma say, that's where the trees are. And so there's a lot of activity in southeast Oklahoma. But she's up in northeast Oklahoma now, and so she was telling me a little bit about the stuff that she experienced, and that was pretty cool as well. Like I said, I should have made notes, I didn't. So that was Sunday. So now let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to today. Today has been crazy. It started out at about a little bit before 3 this morning. And a little bit before 3 this morning, my bladder woke me up, and I had to get up and go pee. And so I laid back down into bed, and I was kind of moving around trying to figure out how to get comfortable. And my bones were aching a little bit, and I heard the two metallic clicks that I've come to associate with. I don't know how they do it, what they do. It sounds like you're tapping two large screwdrivers together, but I heard that twice in rapid succession, click, click, and that kind of told me that was them either materializing into the room or something. I'm not sure how they do that, but it tells me they're there. So I reached out with my mind right away, and I said, I heard that. Are you there? And I immediately got a full body zap. And when I heard the click, I rolled over on my back, and I got a full body zap, head to toe. Didn't last very long, but it was definite, absolutely definite. So that told me that, yes, there were somebody there. So, I started asking questions. I said, are you somebody I know? And I didn't get any response. And, well, can you tell me your name? And the name I got was Roberta. But she said it really fast, and she said it was either Roberta the Healer or Roberta a Healer. I think it was the latter. I think that she was telling me that her name is Roberta and that she is a healer, but the way she said it so fast that it all ran together. So, and I asked who the other one was. I didn't get any answer on that. Well, then I'm laying there, and I'm trying to think of what to ask her next, because I'm kind of shocked that she's there, and I didn't know her. I had never talked to her before. And trying to figure out why she would be there at that particular time. And I felt, I've been having trouble with my knees lately. My knees hurt. And I've talked about it in my carnivore diet videos. I got inflammation in my knees, especially my right knee. And it's worse than the left one. Well, I'm laying there on my back, and all of a sudden I feel hands on either side of my left knee. And I can feel a warmth, and I can feel almost like it's an electrical current running between those two hands, completely straight through my knee. And so, healing. She said she was a healer, and by golly, I couldn't see anything, but she was apparently standing at the end of the bed, and she had her hands, one hand on either side of my knee. I could feel it. I could feel the warmth. I could feel the energy. And so that lasted, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds, maybe a little more. And when she took her hands away, I could still feel the tingly sensation and the warmth in my knee. And I knew that she'd worked on my knee. Well, I was hoping that she was going to do the other one, because the other one was hurting worse. But what ended up happening is that all of a sudden my wife woke up, and she decided she needed to use the potty. And so she rolled over and sat up. Well, immediately, boom, they were gone. Roberta and whoever else was with her, they were gone. And the way my bedroom's situated is my wife sleeps to my left, and the bathroom is to the right. So she has to get up and walk around the end of the bed to go into the bathroom. And so she had to walk right there where Roberta must have been standing. So I kind of hoped that maybe they just backed off into the corner somewhere and were waiting for her to get back. But they never did come back. And I laid there second guessing myself, like everybody does. And so then finally when it came time to get up, when I got out of bed, my left knee is absolutely perfect. No pain whatsoever. Felt fine. My right knee still hurt like heck. And what it does is it hurts in the morning when I first get up. But after I'm up a little bit and walking out a little bit, especially after I take a good hot shower, it limbers it up a little bit, and it kind of stops hurting for the rest of the day. But both my knees were hurting. And when I first get up in the morning, to the point where I'd be limping. And but by golly, Roberta came in and fixed the left one. Hopefully maybe she'll come back tonight and fix the right one. One can only hope that. But that just happened this morning. And so a little bit later on, I had a phone conversation with my friend from Utah, and he told me a couple little things that happened up there. And a couple of things to note is that before I've talked about in part of their culture is they go to what they call gatherings. And the gatherings are seasonal affairs held in various places, and they travel from far and wide to attend these gatherings as families. And that's very important apparently in their culture. Well, I've also said that they operate on a lunar cycle. They don't operate on a calendar month like we do. And the various, I guess, celestial markers or whatever appear to be part of their culture. Well, the 11th of this month, a couple days now, is going to be the full moon. And the 20th of this month is the summer equinox, when the day and night are the same. And one only can think that, that might be a pretty significant event for them. Both the equinoxes and the solstice might be times of maybe more importance to them or something. Well, my friend in Utah has been kind of getting some rumblings that there's going to be a pretty large gathering. And we're not sure where it's at, where it's going to be. And, obviously we don't want to go and try to crash their party. It's probably going to be somewhere where we couldn't go anyway. But anyway, so he's hearing a little bit of rumbles about that. We haven't heard anything real definite. But one of the things that he's noticed is that the full moon is in 2 days. So even if the event hasn't started, the gathering hasn't started, the people are traveling. And but he noticed that the family group where he's at seems to be gone. And I got another one here in a little bit that's going to tie in with that. So anyway, we don't know about that. The other thing that he's starting to come around, and this makes a whole lot of sense if you stop and think about it, is that they're letting him into kind of little more glimpses into their culture. And one of the things that he's starting to understand is that they're not hyper moving all the time like we are. They're very laid back. And one of the things that they do as family groups is they just simply be together. They simply be. And they don't have to be doing anything. They don't even have to be talking. They just enjoy each other's company. And his teacher, Roheen, is starting to impart that knowledge into him. And he said there are times when Roheen will be there, and he said they'll just sit together and not talk. Just be there. Just be. Well, if you start to think about us as a race, when we go out squatching or something like that, and when we find out they're around us, so what do? We start jabbering like magpies and peppering them with questions and all this kind of stuff. Well, I think maybe in many cases they don't want that. What they want is they just want it to simply be. They want to come and be with us. We don't need to be talking all the time. We don't need to be peppering them with questions. It probably aggravates them. And they're comfortable to just be with us and around us and share that companionship. And we're starting to learn that more and more. And some of the things that he's experienced lately just really reinforce that. And I thought that was worth sharing. So that was the second thing that happened today. Now the third thing is I got a voicemail from another one of my viewer friends up in Minnesota. And when you watch this, I never got back to you today. You left a voicemail for me, and I got busy doing other stuff, and I never did reach out to you. And I apologize for that. But if you see this, you'll know who you are. But he was telling me this last weekend that he went camping up at a lake, and he felt that there was a presence around, and he asked for a name, and I believe he got a name, but I didn't write down what it was. But it was a real short name, like Dre or Dra or something like that. And anyway, he said one of the things that he felt was this very, very strong projection of love, feeling of love. And I've heard some people that respond to that. Sun's going down, so the light's changing here if you notice it. But I've had people that talk about that, and the way they described it is like being wrapped in a warm blanket of love. And he kind of experienced that over the weekend. And so he left me a voicemail to tell me about that. And like I said, I never got back to him today. I got busy, and I apologize to him for that. So that's the third thing, and that's just today. And we're just scratching the surface now. Let's see where we're going from here now. Okay, then I got an email from my lady in Florida, and the one I talked about last time. And I'm going to read that email to you. I have to find it, so bear with me. Okay, let's see if I can get turned around here where I can do this. She starts out talking about my my diet I'm on, the videos that I put up about the diet. So the first part about that is going to be about that. She says, I saw your update on your no-carb diet, and I'm truly glad it's working for you. I had tried to do carnivore diet for inflammation and pain, but I could not eat only meats. I finally found that juices work for me for the inflammation pains. We want you back feeling good and healthy again and having more experiences with forest people. Me too. But I wanted to tell you about the apple trees now. Remember that I talked about the peaches and the apricots in the my last email from this lady. But I want to tell you about the apple trees now. I told them a few weeks ago, as I saw the apples developing, that they could have the apples too. Just leave me enough for a pie. And well, there were finally 25 to 30 apples on each of the 2 young trees, and I thought that I'd be able to make several pies. But I went out there 2 days ago to mow the lawn and looked at the trees, and they were cleaned out of apples. They were just starting to turn red from green. I looked on the ground and only saw one. Both trees were cleaned out except for enough for a pie, although those apples were all misshapen and underdeveloped, so no pie. But it made me smile incredulously again, because who is listening to me, even when I only speak in my mind about these things? Most importantly, oops, scroll up here now. And most importantly, I got help or healed in 3 different occasions when I asked them for it within minutes this past week. I still suffer from PTSD for decades, and my nervous system does not recover from anything. And here, there's one thing after another all the time. And she goes on to talk a little bit about her personal life. I don't think you need to hear that part, but I believe they are a significant part of the spiritual war happening on this planet. I never believed in those either, yet I'm living with one too. It takes experience to truly know things. I believe these forest people here know of things and help me. They do things only I see. I am in awe of what is happening here with the forest people. I know you are convinced it is them, and for me there is no other answer left that it must be them. But after decades of living in a world that is convinced they do not exist, it is hard, very hard, to believe 100%. This is clearly my own resistance. A lot of people share that, which I don't want. I speak to them and experience what they do, but I haven't seen anything but the evidence they leave. I haven't seen anything but the evidence they leave. I also certainly believe nearly all the people who have written and continue to write to those online who read their stories of their encounters, and I still spend hours listening to them every day. But I'm sure you know how tricky this situation is to come to 100% belief without seeing them. Yeah, I had the same issue. On one hand, you believe, on the other, you still need to see, and that's the nature of us being people. We're a very visual race, and we believe things when we see it. I have people tell me all the time that they'll believe in Sasquatch when they see one. Well, you don't always see them, and you just have to come to accept that. Anyway, this is the latest. The healings for me are the most incredible. That I asked on 3 different occasions for 3 different things, and I was relieved within minutes. I speak with my friend blank every single thing that happens here, and though he has no experience with them, he does believe me and is happy that finally someone is helping me besides him. He has an ability, too, to remove negative energies. This is a friend of hers, a human friend of hers. It is quite miraculous what he can do as well. But to have someone else see me from the inside and be there to help me when I've asked, well, I feel truly blessed lately and grateful beyond belief. Gratitude is ongoing. Blessings. Isn't that cool? Now, this lady I mentioned before, that when I first started talking to her, she was really down and having a lot of issues in her life and very depressed and almost on the verge of tears when I talked to her. And the last couple of emails I got from her, she's just upbeat and not even like the same person I talked to before. And I'm very happy for her. And the Sasquatch people are helping her. She's convinced of it, even though she kind of claims she's not, but she is. And I'm convinced of it as well. So I got that one this morning. So let's see what the next one here in my list is. I got quite a lengthy list. I had a fellow from Arizona, from southern Arizona, near Tucson, and he reached out to me, and I talked to him quite some time ago, and he's actually going to be in town tomorrow, and we're actually going to have a meetup over at Noli's, and tomorrow's Noli's Day, so I'll be over there in the afternoon anyway for my history thing, but he's going to come to that, and I'll get a chance to sit down and talk with him a little bit, and that'll be fun. So that thing got scheduled today. Then we got... those of you that watched the channel for a while, you might remember the lady from eastern Arizona, near Sholo, who I've spoken for before. I refer to her as Elle. And she had some a family business that she had to take care of over in California, and so she's been gone quite a while. Well, it had to do with the death in the family and probate and selling a house and a bunch of stuff, and it just, under California law, that stuff just takes forever. Well, she's finally home. And she also said that it was like when she got home, normally when she's gone somewhere and gets home, the Sasquatch family that lives on her property, they normally are kind of give her at least a welcome home zap and let her know they're there and show her some love and this type of thing. And she said this time it's like there's nobody there. And I wonder if maybe they're off at that gathering as well, because they've been known to do that. In fact, there was a gathering there at their place a few years ago. So anyway, she's back, and it's going to take her a few days to get everything back organized again. She has a real significant rodent problem there, and while she was gone, the rodents basically tore up her house, and so she's got a lot of work ahead of her to try to get the place whipped back into shape again. So anyway, the next one is a fellow from town here, and he's I've known him for quite a number of years, and he lives on east of here a little ways, and he lives right basically pretty much backed up to national forest land, and he has a daughter, and his daughter had brain tumor surgery quite some time ago, and when they had to do surgery, they had to remove part of her brain, and her face is quite misshapen, and she's real self-conscious about that. So she basically, I guess she has speech issues as well, and so she's very, very self-conscious about that, and she lives in a little trailer right on the back of the property, backing up against national forest land, and she lives pretty much like a hermit, and bless her heart, she's just, and I can understand that, and but anyway, so I asked him how she was doing, and I asked him if the big hairy folk were still coming to visit her, because they were before. And he said, oh yeah, they are. And so I started to mention about my YouTube channel, and he said, oh yeah, we know about it. She watches every one of your videos, and every time you come out with a Bigfoot video, she calls me, and I have to go down there and sit there and watch it with her. And so I told him, I said, she knows me, she knows who I am, and if she would like me to come out and sit with her some evening and see if we can make contact and see if we can get some names, because she's seen them, but she hasn't got the mind speak. And I'm sure they have compassion with her because of her condition. And so I offered to go out there and sit with her some night and see if we can help her open her mind up to get the mind speak, because I'm sure they're trying to talk to her, and maybe we can do that. And, and she knows me, if nothing, she's known me for years, and if nothing else, she knows me through my videos, and she knows what I do. And so if you see this, my dear, tell your dad to get in touch with me. He knows how to do it. and I'll come out. We'll sit there about sundown some night, and we'll see if we can help you make connection. And so that was pretty interesting as well, and that's local. So I got one more, and that's another email, and let me see if I can get rid of this one and go find this other one. This one here, I'm going to omit some stuff on it as well, because about where she lives and this kind of thing. But I want to tell you a little bit about what she's saying here. So she contacted me a while back, and she would like to make contact with the Sasquatch people in her area. And she lives in a little town in far western Utah. And anyway, she knows they're there. But she hasn't really been able to make the contact with them, and so she had asked me in her first email, which I got about a week ago. She asked me some questions that were going to require a little bit of research, and I kind of set that aside and basically got busy and didn't get it done. So I got another email from her just a little while ago, and so I thought I'd read you that. And I went ahead and I emailed her back, because we haven't exchanged phone numbers yet, but I emailed her back with my phone number. And I said, after reading this, I think we need to talk. Because I did part of what she asked me to do, and part of what she asked me to do is to go take a look at the area where she lives and see if there's any place that kind of stood out to me that would be a good place for her to go. But I think when I read this to you, you find out that she really doesn't need to go anywhere, because they talked to her at her house. So let me read you this. She says, so I talked to Bigfoot like I do sometimes the other night. I got a name that almost seems like it wasn't even true. Maybe just made up. I don't know. I didn't hear anything in my ear. Out of the blue, my mind just started out with a Z sound. And I said, and I said this, and it said this name. It's Zail. It is like the name Neil with a Z, but you say it like with the emphasis on Zail. So I've been dealing with my back really messed up for over a week. I was so bummed by this, and I just wanted to feel better. Anyway, I was trying to get ready for bed, and I noticed something on the floor next to the nightstand between it and the bed. I bent down and picked it up, and it was a crystal that was one of my crystals. It was this broken Dalmatian jasper worry stone. I have a couple of bowls of different crystals, but they're all put away, and I haven't had any of them out doing anything with them. So I thought, wow, what is this doing right there? It was crazy. I thought I'm going to read the naming, and it blew me away. It said that it benefits muscles, tendons, and cartilage, helping with sprains, strains, and muscle spasms. See the connection there with her back? Now this thing's trying to shut down on me. Lost my place here. All that I was having with my lower back. I felt so much better the next morning. I don't know if it is them or something else, but someone did it. And then she asked me, can you try to get in touch with them and see if they can back me up? I don't really think I need to do that, dear. I think you know what happened. I think deep down inside, you know absolutely what happened. And when we talk on the phone, I'll try to walk you through the process and see if we can make contact, and you can ask them yourself. I feel so stupid, especially if you get nothing. I have been wanting to work with them on healing. Now my dad is 85, just got told he has prostate cancer. And she goes on to talk a little bit about what they're going to do with his treatment. But even before this, I've been watching things about foods and vitamins that can help stop cancer. We have some other people we know, and the man is younger, and with the things they are doing with my dad, they are also giving this man ivermectin. Ooh. I think the Bigfoot folks can teach us about healing. That's my goal, to be able to communicate and have a relationship to learn about healing. Thanks. And she gives me her name in the little town that she lives in. Well, I responded back to her, and I said, I think we need to talk, and I gave her my cell phone number so she can give me a holler, and She hasn't called back yet. She apparently hasn't checked her email, but I told her that I was available this evening if she had time to chat. So that's 3 new names. That's incidents from all over the country, and a lot of them just happened today. And not all days are this busy, but by golly, today was. And I was trying to get some other stuff done in the middle of all that, and needless to say, you can tell where my mind went. So, like I say, tomorrow is Noli's Day. I'll be over there, and I'll talk about that in my community post in the morning, and we'll talk a little bit about some history, and then maybe talk a little bit about some Sasquatch stuff after we're done with the history part of it. And that's always fun. I enjoy that greatly. So as I tell y'all, I'm running out of light. The picture still looks pretty good right now, but the sun's down. I'm running out of light. And so let me tell you, as I always do, take care of each other, love each other. Be grateful for what you have. There's a whole lot of people in the world that don't live as good as you do. And, think warm thoughts about all the people that are living in the war zones, and they're not a part of either side of the conflict. They just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're the ones that are suffering for it. And we are so fortunate that we're not in that situation. I got another comment. I should have read it, but I remembered it just now. But it's about the carnivore diet thing, and it was actually a lady from Ireland that said she wants to try it, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I wish her the best as well. So I guess I'll wrap this one up, and so right now, until I talk to you again, I'll just tell you, be happy with what you have, and peace out.